If you're just starting out, or even if you have been a content creator for some time, these are mistakes that people rarely talk about. I am going to be sharing with you why you should not be creating that course just yet, and why asking your audience what they want can actually be pretty bad advice. So, I am going to be dishing out some unconventional advice that you may not have heard before, and I hope this gets you thinking. If you're ready, let's go. The number one mistake is not having the answer to the question, why you? Why should you be someone that readers should be listening to or learning from? And the thing is, it really doesn't matter whether you have a blog or a YouTube channel or a podcast, and you are thinking of creating content in these different channels, right? The main thing here is, why should your content be something that people should be looking out for? Why is it worth listening to or watching or reading? What do you have to add to the existing conversation that's already going on in your niche? So when you take any niche, this could be the homeschooling niche or the budget and finance space, or it could be a health and wellness blog, or it could even be a digital marketing blog. Whatever your niche is, there are already existing competitors in the space. There are people who are already talking about the topics that perhaps you want to blog about, or perhaps you want to write about, or have a podcast on. So what exactly are you going to be contributing to the space, and how is it different from the voices that are already out there? Because you don't really want to blend in too much with everyone else. You don't really want to say the same thing as what everyone else is saying, because if you do that, then it makes it a lot harder for people to choose you over someone else who has a much larger following, or who has the budget and resources to spend on ads and on marketing and on materials and on classy videos. So why should they be following you or listening to you or reading your work? So that's the question that you need to think about. And when I raise this question, most people are kind of stuck because they feel that they really have nothing to add to the space. Okay, and here's where I say you need to dig deeper. You really need to take a look at the work and the literature that is out there. Have a look at what your competitors are talking about. What are they writing about? What are their videos about? And then think about how you can add to this existing literature out there. Okay, is there a way that you can present the information in a better way? Okay, or is there a way that you can make the information simpler or easier? That's exactly how miniature baking or miniature cooking came about in the YouTube space. Everyone was trying to find their own take or their own twist on traditional cooking channels. Or maybe there is an audience out there who the existing players are not really serving. That is exactly how Nerd Fitness came about. So this is where you can put a tiny dent in your space. Mistake number 2 is not being aware of your specific stage of growth in your business. So if you take any online business, for instance, there are a few stages of growth. You've got the startup phase, you've got the growth phase, and you've got the scale phase. And each of those different stages has different focus areas, all right? You've got different tasks that you need to focus on. You've got different milestones and different goals at each of those different stages. And the thing is, most people, what they tell me at times is that they say, Mira, I've been doing this for a couple of months, right? 6 months to a year. And I feel like I am just not getting any traction. I feel like I am constantly looking over my shoulder. And I feel like I am always coming back to square one. So if this is what you're experiencing right now, it could be because you have missed out on implementing a few critical foundational focus areas that are really responsible in helping you inch forward and move forward to the next phase of growth. All right, so each different stage has a few of these critical things. Like this could be establishing authority, or trying to build credibility by guest posting, or being featured on different podcasts, or having a nurture sequence to kind of establish that know, like, and trust factor with your audience. Okay, or maybe putting in place a very simple tripwire, a small digital product that is going to enable you to turn that subscriber into a buyer. Okay, so these are tiny little things that are milestones at each of these different phases. And what usually happens is there are people who are at the very beginning, who are in the startup phase, but they're working on areas. They are kind of working on focus areas that are actually things that they should be looking at only when they are kind of further into their business. This could be maybe the growth phase, or it could be in the scale phase. Now, it's not that it's bad to kind of be working on these areas ahead of time, but it is bad when you don't do the foundational elements first, when you don't put in place the foundational elements and you're just going to be, kind of building that, that tower without really securing your foundation. Then we all know what's going to happen, right? Everything collapses and you're going to be constantly looking over your shoulder, wondering what happened. Why isn't it working? Why isn't my product selling? Or why isn't my audience buying? Why? This is because you haven't really focused on that foundation. All right, so have a look if what you're doing right now makes sense with your stage of growth. Number 3, are you adding the wrong revenue stream for your stage of growth? Now, when I usually say this, people are like, but revenue is revenue, right? Does it really matter what revenue stream you're using? And the thing is, it does. Okay, so if you are just starting out and if you are working on a membership site or a premium course, then I'm going to tell you to just hold on to that thought. All right, just stop working on that for a second and give it a think. It's not that a premium course or a membership site are not really good revenue streams. They are, and in fact I have both of those revenue streams in my business model, but you would benefit from having them at a different stage of growth, not when you're just starting out. Okay, when you are starting out, you would find it a better use of your time and effort if you use other revenue streams. Okay, so I have actually broken down, and this is something that I found very useful as I was kind of working through my business as well. And one of the major mistakes I made was working on a premium course before I was even ready. If you've ever dabbled in working on a course or working through videos and creating worksheets and stuff like that, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. It just sucks you in. There is just so much to do and you just never find the light at the end of the tunnel, so-called, right? It's just a never-ending amount of work. And especially when you are still grasping and learning all of these new tools and you're still learning email and you're still growing an audience, the pressure of creating a huge course will really overwhelm you. And that is exactly what I went through. And it took me years, in fact, of tweaking and, really tweaking my messaging and picking up skills when it comes to how do I sell, how do I write my emails, how do I actually package and present this premium course to my audience. And I would have been so much better off if I had just worked on revenue streams that are within my stage of growth. Why? Because number one, they're going to be bringing in a revenue a lot faster. Number two, it's also going to help me turn brand new subscribers into buyers a lot quicker, because it's not a huge jump or it's not a huge leap of faith that I am asking them to take with me. Remember, when you're starting out, you're new, you're still building credibility, you're still building authority. So you need to give your audience that time to associate you as an expert or to associate you with the topic that you are talking about. And by creating revenue streams that are within your particular stage of growth, you are allowing all of this to happen. Okay, so have a look at the diagram and take a look at each of the revenue streams that I suggest at different phases of growth. So tier 1 revenue streams are perfect for you when you are in the starting out phases of your business. Tiers 2 and 3 are perfect for you when you have an audience of some sort, all right? It doesn't have to be a huge audience, but you do have people on your email list. You have started to nurture and grow an audience. Now, I do know of people who have started their business with tier 3 revenue streams, okay, and they have found success. So this is not like a hard and fast rule, but the majority of students and clients whom I have interacted with have really struggled when they have explored tier 3 revenue streams when they are absolutely brand new to the online space. Now, mistakes is a really big topic, so I broke this up into 2 different videos. You can catch part 2 of my unconventional advice and tips that I have to share right over here. In this video, I talk about whether you really need a tagline and how many traffic sources you should have when you are starting out. So have a look at that other video, and if you're interested in diving deeper into this concept, I talk about this in my Amazon book, The Blog Startup. I am going to leave a link to that in the description. If you loved this video and you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video in just a bit.